What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hops Geek News. We are a podcast that talks about comics, books, movies, TV shows, and we feature a beer of the week typically. I am Matt. Alongside me is Lauren. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about Supernatural Season 8, Part 1, because I am almost to season 11 now, so we got to backtrack a little bit. We got to talk, man. We got to have some conversations about what is happening in the supernatural world. So if this is your first time finding us, hey, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you stick around. Please, by all means, go to Hops Geek News on any podcasting platform, any social media platform. We're all there, and that's the easiest way to find us. If you feel so inclined to support the show, patreon.com/hopsgeeknews is where you can find us. And everything that comes to us, we put back into the show, such as the live Cantina Hours we are starting. It is not going to be like an everyday, every week thing. It's more of a, hey, we're going to hop on. It's going to be low key. We are not going to do our normal episodes on the Cantina Hour. We're going to have brewery guests once in a while. We're going to have various guests once in a while, maybe some comic creators, maybe some bigger guests. Who knows who might roll through. Patrons, feel free to hit us up if you want to come have a beer, talk about something. It's just going to be a very low-key, low-threat thing that we go live on once in a while. Maybe lately it's been every week, so who knows? We got kids, we got families. Anyways, enough rambling. Like I said, we got a cool episode. I am drinking on this episode Two Roads Brewing, Fruity Juicy, Hazy IPA. This came from our girl, Stacy. She sent it as her husband, Jake, works and brews for Two Roads. It's 7.2% Hazy IPA out of Connecticut. It's a really good brewery, really good beer. And like I said, shout out to Stacy
for Connecticut.
Yes, Connecticut. Out of my Hops Geek News glasses. And if that's Lauren. So Lauren, why don't you go ahead and tell us what you're drinking?
So I actually just finished a soup juice, my last soup juice. If you missed that episode, you can find it on YouTube. We talked with Lori.
Unreal.
I'm already going to
Calcaterra.
Calcaterra, fantastic comic book. Definitely check out that episode and go check out her comic book. But I just opened from Tactical Brewing, Tulpa Effect. So it is a New England IPA with cashmere, Vic's Secret.
Say it. I know you want to. Say it.
What do I want to say?
Say the line, Bart.
It's not a Tulpa.
There you go.
I love that you know that line now, because I have 100% said that on this podcast before and it went right over your head. So I'm very happy that did not go over your head.
Nothing goes over my head. I'm tall. I would catch it.
You're not too fast. You're just tall. So that's not till season 10. So we're talking season 8. Obviously, we learned what tulpas were, though, in, oh my goodness gracious, I think that was season 1 the ghost facers, but they weren't the ghost facers in that episode. I forgot what they were called in that episode. Hellhounds. They were the Hellhounds. Hellraisers. Hellhounds. No, they were the Hellhounds. Okay, so we're talking Supernatural tonight. We're talking part 1 of season 8, which was a fantastic season. Couldn't even do it all in one episode because there's so many good episodes that we're going to want to really talk about. So that is why we were only doing half of it. And that is what I'm drinking. If you don't know Tactical Brewing, they're in Orlando, Florida, Baldwin Park, and they make some fantastic brews, much like this one.
They do. They do indeed, man. And if you are also new to our show and you're still here, by all means, dude, we go into what we're drinking. We go into what we've messed up on the week prior. We talk about what we're reading and watching, and then we go into some news before our main topic. So without further ado, Lauren, what do you got for us? You something really cool happened this past week.
So if anybody's not familiar with Beer Babes Family, I actually became an ambassador for Beer Babes Family this weekend. I got to participate in some brew days, and then I got to participate in 3 beer releases this past weekend. And what they do is they coordinate with local craft breweries, and then the proceeds go to supporting women in beer. And at one of the beer releases I was at, I actually got to meet Scott, who is one of our Patreons. We've mentioned him multiple times on this episode. He emails us the most amazing fun facts that we like. Usually when people send me fun facts, they're like, hey, did you know this? And I'm like, yes, I knew that. But
I love the emails Scott sends. Anytime there's an email from Scott, I get so jazzed because it's the most informational stuff, man.
Yes, and it's always great content as well. So he's local. We did not get to officially meet him at MegaCon. We were hoping so, but he was working and we were all over the place.
Yeah.
But it was so fun. And he came over and we talked for a few minutes. And Scott, it was great meeting you. If you're listening, I definitely was a little buzzed when you showed up and surrounded by a lot of other very buzzed ladies. We had a great time. That was at Rock Pit Brewing. We brewed a Kolsch over there, so that was fantastic.
When's that coming out?
It's out.
It's out already. Oh, yes, that's right. You just there's the release. Sorry, because I remember when you were brewing it, guys. I'm sorry.
So Friday we did an English mild at Gatlin. I love English milds. It was fantastic. We did a Kolsch at Rock Pit. And then at Hourglass, when I showed up, because a lot of times when they do girl-themed beers, they tend to be sours, and that drives me nuts. And so when I found out we weren't brewing 3 sours, I was very excited. And then I get to Hourglass and I'm like, oh, what are we brewing? And they're like, a mimosa sour. And I'm like, ugh. Then I had the mimosa sour and it was really
Mimosa
good.
sours are pretty good. I actually have had a couple before, and I would have to say that they're pretty delish.
They are very delish. I have a 4-pack of it, and I will probably send you one because I was talking with Roxy, one of the co-founders of Beer Babes, and she will be showing up on one of our Cantina Hours in the very near future. So I'm going to have to send you one of those beers for that. But, I don't hate sours. I like sours. They're just not my favorite, and I hate that it's like become like a quote-unquote girl beer, which all beer is girl beer.
Dude, what? Since when are sours girl beer?
I don't know, but that seems
I
to
love
be like the
sours. There's so
go-to
much
when
flavor in
somebody's
them.
doing some sort of beer for women, it tends to be a sour.
How
And when I
rude.
said that, a lot of the other girls were like, yes, exactly. We feel the same way. So that was actually really cool that we were all on the same page.
That's terrible. That's garbage. That's unfortunate.
But we also had that release early in the day on Sunday. So that was also a perfect beer to drink after drinking very long for 2 days. And then, yeah.
Well, let's go into what we messed up on or looked into. Do we have anything? Yes, we do, because I messed up on, I was referring to Catherine Newton as I meant Helena Bonham Carter was the name. And I thought about it afterwards and I was like, God, stupid idiot. Because she's in like she's Bella Chicks Lestrange. She's in like every freaking Tim Burton movie ever, because obviously they were married for a time. But also she's like really good. She's in Fight Club, man.
Yeah.
Like, stupid. I'm stupid. I failed.
You also called Hugh Jackman 61. He's not 61. He's 55.
Oh, okay. Well, you called Sophia Bush, Sophia Vergara, who
I called Sophia Vergara, Sophia Bush. So both of them are drop dead gorgeous. Shout out to Stacy because she's actually the one that caught this. Sophia Bush is the one that was on One Tree Hill. Sophia Vergara is from Modern Family. Sophia Vergara is the one playing Griselda. Both of them, though, are absolutely gorgeous women.
They are.
Thank you.
But they're not the same person. Duh.
They're not the same person at all. They sound very different. Their age range, I'm sure, is a little off. Probably not as off as I think it is, though.
Well,
I just watched one show a long time ago and one recently.
No, I maybe. Who knows? I don't know. Let's dive into what we've been reading or watching. Lauren, what have you been reviewing over on the Nerd Initiative Network? Which, if you don't know, we are each and every Tuesday and Wednesday reviewing your favorite comic books or soon-to-be favorite comic books, because that's what we do. Lauren writes and reviews some really cool stuff. I wish anybody in this world, primarily my mom, loved me as much as Dark Horse Comics loves Lauren. So, Lauren, without more further ado, that's the word of the night. Further ado. Go ahead.
This week, though, I don't have a Dark Horse one. I have Animal Pound, which is boom. This was the second issue of Animal Pound dropped. It is based on the short story Animal Farm. It's very interesting. Basically, the animals took over the pound to get their freedom, but now they're struggling with survival and not essentially killing each other, because you got dogs, you got cats, you got bunnies. It's a very interesting story with layers. And I really liked how this one ended, because it ended with a hilarious yet genius idea of how to move on. And I will leave it at that.
Okay.
Again, it's Animal Pound. The art is very interesting because the animals are very humanistic, but they're still also very aware of the fact that they are animals and of the cliches that animals have, and they play into that, which makes it comical, but it is dark and it is comical. And another one I read, which we will talk more about this next week, Fugitive Poems. So I got their volume 4, Containment Breach. I read that. Very interesting, very different stories. That's an anthology kind of comic, and we will deep dive into that next week, because we will be having Fugitive Poems back on for a live Cantina Hour.
We will be. They are going to be coming on, and it's going to be a lot of fun, man. So I hope you guys check those out. Have you watched anything special? Nothing new for you?
I've been watching X-Men 97 and Walking Dead.
No, you haven't been watching X-Men 97 before you mess up.
I've been watching X-Men 92.
Comes out. Yes. X-Men 97. X-Men 97 comes out. X-Men 97's March 20th. And a little bit of a heads up for everybody out there. We are going to have the writers, the Lualds, are going to be on our show here in a couple weeks to talk about the X-Men animated series in anticipation for the release of the X-Men 97 show. Are you liking it so far?
Sorry, I was muted because I'm shoving food into my mouth. It's interesting. It is the most 90s thing I've ever seen. Right away, I'm like, who the hell is Morph? And then Morph is dead. And I'm like, okay, Morph is cannon fodder. It's on par with who these characters should be, but it's so cheesy. I mean, it's exactly what you would imagine a 90s cartoon would be based on the X-Men.
Well, dude, I used to watch those cartoons all the time, eating cereal and all of that kind of stuff. And so to me, like, I grew up on these. Yeah, they're the most 90 things ever, but that was just what I grew up on. So it's fun. I'm rewatching it myself. I have Oliver. He's watching it with me. He's playing video games on his Switch. He's watching X-Men. Dude, we're just two dudes being bros, man. When I tell you we're doing all the things that I did when I was growing up, I see in him. That's what makes better life choices. Now, I've read and watched some things. So speaking of X-Men, I reviewed X-Force 49 this past week. Benjamin Percy, Lauren's one of her favorite writers. He is the one writing that. And this is, they're trying to go after Beast. It's part 2. Pretty solid. It sets up the conclusion for this little mini arc where Beast has a bunch of clones that are trying to do bad stuff basically all around.
Well, that's part of Wolverine.
Yeah, it is.
That's a Wolverine comic.
Yeah. Well, I read this. Yeah.
Oh shit! I need to read that.
It was a good comic. Definitely good. Definitely worth a read. And then I reviewed another really big comic this week. It was called Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong, issue number 5. And if you also, again, going to Nerd Initiative, we talked with Brian Buccellato, who does Midlife, No One, and this comic book, who gave us some cool like behind the scenes things that are coming up. You guys are not ready for where the series is about to go, but dude, this is such a great comic book. This comic actually has gotten my son into reading. He doesn't like to read, but now like he reads multiple comic books a day, and he goes to my comic book collection and just picks them out. It's the most heartwarming shit on earth, man. And I just sit there like a little child, like, oh my God, he's reading a comic. The only thing that sucks is he doesn't know how to read inside of his head yet. And I hate when I'm listening to people read out loud. So I'm like, it's just awesome, but it also is like, but it's cool, man. So Justice League Godzilla Kong, that is such a amazing comic book. There's some Jaws references. There's some other really cool beats that happen in this book. And then Supernatural, I watched that. And then there is one thing I want to talk about real quick. It's a 14 episode limited series on Netflix. It is called One Day. And now this, oh my God. So it's labeled as a romantic comedy, which I think we have some very big different definitions of romantic comedies, Netflix, because this is not romantic. It's romantic, but it's not a comedy. Now, it's about a character named Dexter, played by Leo Woodall. You mainly know him from White Lotus, if you've seen that. And Emma.
Character Dexter, if he's not going to murder people.
Dude, when I tell you, hold on. Now, Ambika Maud is Emma. They're the two main characters. Essentially, the story takes place. The two of them meet 1988. They're graduating from university in Edinburgh, Scotland, and that's when they meet. And now the story takes place all the way up to like 2007. It's them and their lives intertwining, their love story, friendship story, a lot of just when like you cry, dude. I don't want to spoil it in case somebody watches it, but I just want you to know that like I am so emotionally taxed. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1. I gotta get this off my fucking chest. I am so emotionally torn up about this shit. So spoilers. They hook up. They don't have sex the first night they meet. Then Dex goes off. So this basically the story is like they meet up once a year.
Murder someone.
No, they meet up once a year, and he is from a rich family. He takes her all over the place. They kind of go their separate ways. He takes her on vacation. They go to like Greece. She spends Christmas with them the first year, and then Dex gets a job basically doing like the British version of TRL, essentially, right? And
Total
at that point,
Live.
It's not exactly that, but he gets a job doing like a British live show. He becomes like a TV guy. She's struggling, and then
sounds like a Hallmark movie.
Listen, man, his mom dies of cancer, and that's like the first like damn that. And so he goes in like this big depression. He's doing drugs. He's doing alcohol. He's an alcoholic. He's just, banging different women. And so they get into a fight one night, and she's dating this like whack comedian person. He comes from money. She doesn't. They kind of a tiff there. So then they don't see each other for 3 years. And in this time period, he loses his TV job because he ruins it. He gets married to this girl named Sylvie, and Sylvie's from a very wealthy family.
Asking about this.
Dog. He gets fired from TV. He's looking for a job. He's with his girl Sylvie. They get married. They have a kid, and Sylvie steps out on Dex with his best friend Callum. Bro, so that's 2 against my man Dex. And like in the beginning, you really don't like either of these characters, like Dex or Emma. They both have their toxicity, right? Like Dex is like this party boy. Emma is like this, she's very smart and author, but she's very much like doesn't start what she finishes. She kind of blames everybody else and she's very awkward, off-putting in ways and has her own. She at one point is like helping the principal of her school cheat on his wife with her kind of thing. And like she very badly breaks up and just some bad choices made by both parties. So at one point you're like, I don't like either of these people, but you come to grow, especially and love Dex and you love Emma and their story. They come back together at their best friend Tilly's wedding and they do their whatever. Like that's when he's like, hey, I'm getting married to Sylvie. We're having a kid, blah, yeah. And then they see each other the next 2 years later. Sylvie has stepped out. They got divorced. He goes to Paris and she's now an author, a published author. And he's like, I just want to be with you. And she's like, no, I don't. I'm seeing somebody. And then
this is the worst movie ever.
It's a 14 episode, 20-minute episode, like 25.
That makes it even worse.
So then she comes back and is like, yeah, ditches her boyfriend for him. They've always, the whole story is about them and loving each other. And by this point you're like, you're fucking rooting for them, man. You're just like, yes, it's happening. They get together, they hook up and they're together now. And they got to the point in their story that they're together and you're just like, good things are happening.
I hope they immediately go to couples counseling.
I am here for this. And he has a daughter with Sylvia that he never really gets to see. But then, like the last couple episodes, because she's, she goes and ditches him. But finally, in the last couple of episodes, his daughter Jasmine is a little bit more grown up. She's like 6, which means she's modern day, like my age, a little bit younger than me. She's born in like 97, 98.
Oh, I was confused at that. I'm like, you are definitely older than Logan.
No. So this story takes place from 1988 to like 2007. So Emma and Dex, they go through the thing. Dex was working for his best friend Callum at a cafe, and then the whole thing happened. So it turns out Dex's mom left him money when she died, and then Dex gets money to open. He opens up his own cafe. It's very successful. Emma's an author. Their life in love is so sweet. She's such a sweet mom. And then she's like, I want to have a baby of our own. She's not able to have kids. And you're just like,
Jesus Christ.
Fuck yeah, dude. You're just like, oh my God, this is so depressing. It's so sad because at this point you're just like, they're together. I love them together. And then it gets so much worse because then they're supposed to meet up for dinner one night and she gets hit by a car on her bike and she dies.
Nice.
She fucking dies.
City of Angels.
She fucking did. This is a book too, so I want to find the author.
She also riding her bike with no hands like Meg Ryan was.
No, it was raining, and they're leaving voicemails for each other.
Riding a bike in the rain.
So like, it's London, dude. Like it's London, and so like they're leaving voicemails for each other, and you just know something bad's about to happen. She gets hit by a car and dies, and I am I'm like getting emotional talking about because I'm so upset right now. Like she dies, and he's just like everything.
Talk about a story where everybody dies, and
everybody but like this whole entire thing was like built up to this moment where they're supposed to be together, and they're like, oh, they can't have a kid, but eventually they will, and then she fucking dies, and then he's just so depressed, and you're like, bro, I fucking get it, dude. Like, I get it. I'm depressed too, man. Like, I would kill myself at this point. My mom died. My fucking baby's mom, my fucking baby's mom ditched me for my best friend. And then my fucking love of my life from when we were 18 or 22 or whatever it is fucking dies in a tragic accident. Dude, this guy has had a life. And so it's the show ends. He's taking his daughter to all the spots.
At the end?
No, like he's taking it's 2007. He's taking his daughter to all the spots that he was special to him and Emma. And you're just a fucking mess. You're emotionally wrecked. You feel like you just got done crying about your boyfriend. You're 16 again. He broke your heart for the first time. You're sobbing. And it's just, dude, it's the most fucking depressing thing ever. And I'm not emotionally okay. I've had a couple beers at this point. I needed to talk about it. It was it was so sad.
Yeah, it sounds sad.
Anyways, guys, let's get back to some real shit. Let's go into some news. So, Lauren, please take us into some news.
So, Umbrella Academy is coming back August 8th on Netflix. This is the final season. I'm very excited for this. I really loved the last 2 seasons, and I started the comic book because I did it on Turn a Page with Ken, and I intend on finishing the comic book before this news comes out. Thunderbolts is May 2nd, 2025, so they have changed that date. And my last piece of news, which I'm super duper excited about, The Boys officially has a date, June 13th.
Yes.
I am praying to Chuck or Jack, whoever you pray to, that Soldier Boy makes a comeback.
I think
like
he'll be
him.
back in the next season. I don't think you're really going to see him this season.
Because they didn't kill him, I do think he's going to come back in some way, shape, or form, especially because they know how popular Jensen Ackles is.
Oh, yeah.
And that, with Kripke running the show, I think a lot of Supernatural people have actually dipped their toes into this because
just make
of him.
Jensen Batman already. Come on.
Just put him in everything. But before this comes out, we will do an episode talking about Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character. If we can figure out who Chuck's character is, which that probably is out there, we'll do comic origins on both of them. And we'll also catch you up on the end of season 3. I will rewatch Herogasm for the 4th time to prepare for an episode.
In other news, speaking of the Thunderbolts, Joanna Callow will be writing Thunderbolts. You know them from The Bear. They're the showrunner for the hit Hulu series The Bear, which if you're not watching, just what are you doing? Why? Lauren, I know you're not watching yet, so why? What are you doing?
That, Rose.
Anyways, aside from that, X-Men 97 premieres March 20th on Disney+. Star Wars news, everybody. The Acolyte, June 5th. We have some Star...
They're 5 ways away from May. Why did they do that?
I don't know. Because they hate us. I don't know what to tell you. Like, we have The Boys and Star Wars The Acolyte premiering at the same time. That's kind of cool. I think it's cool. But you're right. May was right there, guys. Come on. Aside from that, Glenn Powell will star in Chad Powers, co-creating it with Michael Waldron. The series will follow a quarterback whose career ended after a bad behavior, and then he disguises himself as the talented Chad Powers. I don't know who Chad Powers is, I'm going to be honest with you, but Glenn Powell's in it. I'm for it. I'm going to see it. And then my last bit of news is Stephen Amell and Josh McDermott from The Walking Dead are actually going to be starring in a spin-off series, Suits LA. So Suits is a very popular series. I'm not going to watch it. I didn't really care for Suits the first. So Lauren, that's all you.
Legal shows. I'm not watching that garbage.
I'm not.
Not that it's garbage. I'm not. That sounds terrible to say. I've never seen Suits.
Listen, I'm going to be honest.
Like legal shows, and I've had people. I was talking to somebody about it, and they're like, "Oh, if you don't like when it's not legally accurate, definitely don't watch this."
Well, there was a time when I would have watched anything that Stephen Amell was in. Well, there was
seen him in Arrow.
But here's the problem. He's such a dick in real life. He is an asshole. I've interacted with him personally a couple times, and he's the biggest fucking asshole.
So I had a dream last night that I was hugging Jensen Ackles for warmth, and Stephen Amell was there, and we were ignoring him because I've heard
he's such a dick, man. Like I'm not gonna go any further because this is how
industry. He almost like made fun of questions that were about Green Arrow.
Yeah, he's just like so. Like he makes fun of like people who are in the comic books. I've ran into him personally a couple times with my son, and he was just an asshole to both of us.
How do you keep running into him? You even saw him at
I don't know. I ran into him on his way in MegaCon. We bumped shoulders, and then
you saw him at
Seattle. We were in the same fucking hotel together, and then I ran into him at freaking Salt Lake City. So like, part of me wants to be like, dude, Steven,
this guy's stalking me.
We keep running into each other. Like, what are we doing here? But he was such an asshole every time I've interacted with him. Like to me, and even like me, you can be an asshole to me. I get it. But when you're an asshole to my 8-year-old child who's named after the Green Arrow, like you're on my shit list, dude. Fuck you.
Kids.
And
I mean, I don't know how I would act if I was famous. If you're constantly having people come up to you, like I'm sure that
that's the other thing. Like, dude, I give him a grain of salt. However, if anybody from the industry is watching this right now, which nobody is, we've just got banned. Stephen Amell's never coming on. He hates us. So, with that said,
I'm in my dream as long as Jensen comes on.
We, however, will be right back in just a second. We are going to dive into some Supernatural Season 8 Part Uno. Catching a GIF. All right. Season 8, Part 1, episodes 1 through 13 of Supernatural. Now, Season 8 kicked off October 3rd, 2012. Wow. Did you know I moved to Florida? I got to Florida 5 days after this premiered.
I did not.
Well, now you do. I moved to Florida this, October 8th of 2012. I was
at Disney World, Magic Kingdom, the day this came out.
Well, that must be nice.
Kaylee's 9th birthday.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, dude. Shit all over herself and left the park in nothing but a diaper because she went through multiple clothes.
That's how you know you had a good Disney day, man. Sometimes, look, I've seen adults like leaving nothing but a diaper and worse at Disney. So Whatever.
That's
Now,
an
episode.
not Magic
Oh,
Kingdom.
you're right. They drink around the world. Too many boozy margs from Mexico.
Ew.
Now, episode 1, we need to talk about Kevin. Dean returns from purgatory 1 year after the fight with the Leviathans. After reuniting with Sam, they find out that Kevin escaped Crowley with another word of God that may hold the key to closing the gates of hell. Now, Lauren, what are some fun facts you have for us?
So the title is also a movie starring John C. Reilly, Tilda Swinton, and Ezra Miller about a boy and his relationship with his mother. Sam made the comment, "I don't hunt anymore," and Dean responds, "Yeah, and Sasha Grey has gone legit." And of course, that was funny because porn star Sasha Grey had made a Soderbergh movie. That movie is The
Okay, but
Girlfriend
she's like a
Experience in
streamer
2009.
and stuff now. Yeah, she quit porn and went into like, she's a very big time author and like Twitch streamer.
Well, she was also in Entourage. That's how, like, I had never watched any porn
Oh,
with her
yeah.
in it, but,
Okay.
like, I was familiar with her because of Entourage. And, of course, Josh knew who she
Sasha
was right
Grey got
away.
me through so many deployments. Thank you, Sasha.
Good for her. And you. But, I mean, do you remember this episode?
Kind of. So it's like because Sam had moved on, like he was kind of doing his own thing. He quit, and Dean just like all of a sudden comes out of the ground. Wasn't it when he came out of the ground or something like that?
No, that was after Hell. This
You're
was
right.
the
That
one
was after
where,
Hell. This.
he was in purgatory and he put Benny in his arm. And
Yes.
he all of a
Yes.
sudden he's
He
in
went through the
woods.
portal on the hill.
Yes. This is like, yeah. And
I love Benny.
I mean, who the fuck doesn't love Benny
Yeah,
other
I
than
fucking
Sam
love
and
Benny.
Martin? Fuck them. Ty Olsson, he actually played one of the vegetarian vampires, Eli, in season 2, episode 3,
Oh, okay.
Bloodlust. And this was actually one of our questions during our Supernatural trivia at MegaCon. So on my first rewatch, I thought, oh shit, I didn't know Benny was in this. And then I realized it was a totally different person because I thought that would have been really cool if that, but obviously Benny had died previously.
Right.
Because he's, a little bit older and everything. And we learn that later in the season when you see he's like working for his granddaughter and whatnot. But I absolutely love Benny. I almost immediately fell in love with him. And
same.
I really loved Dean in Purgatory. And, we had Ryan Curtis on recently. And that's when he really started working on Supernatural, was when Dean was in Purgatory.
That's right. They did a lot of cool stuff. And I did like this is kind of like the introduction back into season 8. Dean once again has come back. Sam's moved on to a whole different life. And
I don't like any of that story. I don't think anybody does. His hair's too long in the first episode.
Yeah, Amelia, because there's a scene we'll get to where he kind of like is with Amelia. They started this life, but then she decides to like go back to her husband or something like that. And
yeah, she thinks her husband's dead, like
because
he's military.
And
her dad was in the episode on the plane, Phantom Traveler. So that's the same dude there.
Yeah. And so Amelia, I never really cared for either. Now rolling into episode 2, What's Up, Tiger Mommy? After saving Kevin's mother from demons, Sam, Dean, and Kevin go after the word of God, which is being auctioned off by Plutus, the god of greed. What do you have?
So the title is after a Woody Allen movie called What's Up, Tiger Lily? Of course, with a spin on the term Tiger Mommy. This is the first time Crowley calls Dean Squirrel, so that's obviously very special. Tyler Johnson introduced in this episode as Samandriel, or Alfie. However, we met him in the first season in the episode Bugs. He was the weird kid obsessed with bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Vili is a Norse god in this and brother of Odin / uncle to Thor. Vili and Odin, together with their brother Ve, slew the frost giant Ymir. Mr. Vili then gets the severed finger from the safety deposit box, so that's what that finger was. And he also gets certain amount of blood of a virgin or something, or 2/3 of a virgin. I don't remember exactly what it was. And that's how he gets back the hammer of Thor Mjolnir. And obviously Sam ends up taking that. We don't see the Mjolnir though again till season 15, which I think was absolutely ridiculous.
Really?
But there's a couple moments in this that I loved. I love the line from Crowley where they're trying to think of plan A, B, C. And Crowley says, why don't you try plan D for dumbass? That's probably my favorite Crowley quotes. And also shout out to Mrs. Tran, who was recast for this season. And this is the only Mrs. Tran we see from here on out. And that is Julie from Friends.
She got recast. Why did I always just only remember her as
I knew she was recast just because it's Julie from Friends, which is the girl that Ross met and then Rachel hated, and then they started dating.
Interesting. I had no idea that it was some other actress until this point. So I like that the word of God is introduced because at the same time Cass is also about to be doing some weird like back to heaven shit with
Right now he's still in purgatory.
yeah, at this point, Cass got left behind, and it's kind of setting the groundwork for what's going to be coming up, which is primarily, closing everything, get the word of God. Crowley's after it. Soon the angels will be after it, and this is kind of setting up because this is the season, right, where, it's a season where the overall arching story is they're trying to close the hell,
The gates of hell,
essentially.
yeah.
Yeah,
Which is interesting because the amount of people they have pulled from hell, you would think that would be something they didn't want to do.
right. There's a lot, and they get sent to hell all the time. Now, going into the next episode, Lauren, Heartache, while trying to track down Kevin, Sam and Dean get sidetracked by a series of murders where the victims have gotten their hearts ripped out. And it turns out a Mayan athlete dying was the cause of deaths. I don't remember this episode. I'm going to be honest with you.
This was the one where the guy was a football player and like the older lady who was his quote unquote mom was actually his wife. And then they learned that over the years he was a boxer and a baseball player, and the wife then, and like the one younger girl who got his heart is the one continuing these sacrifices so she can continue forth. I just remember her like straddling Dean and going to kill him, and then obviously she was unsuccessful.
Didn't work
And like
out.
the one guy who was a little bit bigger, like you have the one guy who's super fit running, and then the one guy that's like a little bit chubby, like passes him and he's super fast. And then they interview him later and he's like drinking these shakes and he's like, yeah, I'm super healthy now. And then the healthy guy like dies, but the healthy guy's like, oh, you're really, and he's like, yeah, I'm really fast. And he like rips into his chest and like pulls out his heart.
I don't remember this one. And I really enjoyed season 8 as a whole. And shout out to Kevin. I loved this. Kevin was probably the reason why I loved it so much. But yeah, I don't remember too much. I will say though, however, that detective in this is Jensen's dad. And Jensen actually directed this episode, which was his third time directing. And I thought I don't remember it, obviously, so I can't speak upon it. I'm sorry to anybody who's like, oh, Supernatural fan. You like the show? You don't remember it? Man, I watch a lot of stuff.
It's hard to watch or remember details too.
It is. So we're going to roll into episode 4, which is Bitten. Sam and Dean come across a homemade video of 3 friends whose lives are turned upside down by a werewolf. This is the episode where we meet Kate, the vampire.
The werewolf, not the vampire, the werewolf, my bad.
Kate, the werewolf, and her boyfriend, and also their stalkery friend. Now, fun facts, whilst confronting his professor, Brian says, I'm tired of being Piggy. I want to be Ralph. This is a reference to the book Lord of the Flies, which if you've never read Lord of the Flies, it's pretty fucking crazy. And the aliases used in this are, of course, musicians, Hudson and Rose, after Guns N' Roses performers, Saul Hudson and Axl Rose. What do you have to say about this episode?
I actually like this episode. I feel like it was very artsy. I love that they made a comment about, because, they were filming Dean and how they made comments about him saying awesome so much. And Kate's like, they can't be FBI. They say awesome too much. But this is a very not loved episode. And based on a lot of the episodes outside of Bugs that are not loved, I feel like it comes down to the episodes where Sam and Dean just aren't in it a lot. Seem to be that.
That's what I've kind of caught on to as well, because I have no issues with this episode. I don't have issues when they're not in it a lot, because you're in for a fun episode when they're not the main focus.
Well, and you actually, this was one episode you texted me about, because I remember thinking like, oh, I'm glad you liked it because a lot of people don't.
Right. And again,
I thought it was unique. It was different.
I think so far every episode that people have really had a problem with, I've personally never had a problem with. And again, that probably attributes to the fact that they are the background in some degree. But dude, I like this episode. That was cool. And it's always nice to take a step back from the main characters and focus on other characters once in a while. That's just how I feel. You kind of always need that breather, man. And that's what Supernatural does really well.
Yeah, definitely.
But let's go into episode 5 now. Blood Brother. Dean helps Benny, who helped him escape from purgatory. Together, they go after the nest led by the vampire that bit Benny. Again, we're getting a very Benny-focused episode in this. And Benny, dude, Sam's such an asshole because Sam hates Benny because he's a vampire, which is crazy because at one point, Sam was very much like, you can't know that they're going to be exactly like they're a monster, but are they really going to become a monster? And this is kind of Dean for the first time realizing that, okay, that's actually kind of accurate. Like, just because he's a monster doesn't mean that Benny is out there. Benny is trying to do his own life, do his own thing. I got to know this guy in purgatory. He helped me
he was in purgatory for a year.
Yeah, I get it, but it's very surprising from Sam, I think, and this is what I took away from this episode. because Sam's
Yeah, I
all like,
wonder
"I'm
some
gonna
of
kill
it.
Benny."
Yeah, I wonder some of it like is jealousy. Like you were in purgatory for a year with Benny, and you built this bond and this relationship. But they both choose times that's convenient for them to decide whether or not this is a black and white issue or a gray issue. And I feel
Yeah.
like they both struggle with that throughout the show because they were raised black and white. They were raised vampire bad, werewolf bad. But then, like, even Sam, he slept with a vampire in what, season 2 in Heart? But then he killed said werewolf. Did I say vampire again when I meant to say werewolf?
I think you did, yeah. That's okay.
But
I know
then
what
they
you're talking about.
also, an episode before this, they let Kate go.
They did, yeah. See, they're very picky and choosy.
So that's why I feel like Sam almost has a little bit of jealousy in this one. But we do, and actually, I guess you've already seen it, the episode with Amy Pond,
Oh,
where
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dean struggled with that. And like, I think he truly did regret that decision. And I feel like that haunted him, and I don't think he thinks he made the right decision. I think he just didn't trust Sam at the time because he was having, the illusions or hallucinations of Lucifer. So Sam was
Oh,
having a hard time grasping reality as how Dean felt. So Dean was trying to clean up Sam's mess, and I think later he realized
that's fair, I
no.
guess,
And I
yeah.
think he even brings that up about the whole Benny thing. I believe.
I think they do,
I don't.
because they do, like, come to a head at one point. And, going into Southern Comfort, which is the next episode, Sam and
Wait, we
Dean.
got some fun
Oh,
facts here real quick.
I'm
So
sorry, you're
Blood
right. I forgot
Brother.
the fun facts.
The title is an Iron Maiden song. In a flashback, Castiel actually reveals that he is a seraph, which is a higher species of angel. So this is the first time we hear that. And Mark Carpenter plays a vampire in this episode. He previously played the Scarecrow in your scariest episode, Scarecrow. And he played himself in The French Mistake. This is also the episode we get the term vampirate. Dean is infamous for, not infamous, but he's very well known throughout the series for making up words. This is a great one, vampirate. And I already said I hate Sam and I love Benny. And so this episode, Sam actually meets Benny for the
He
first
does,
time.
and
He's a
that's
total
what made me
sycophant.
think, because he's an asshole. He's a real asshole. He wants to kill him.
Yep. And that's what I got about Southern Comfort. Benny even tries to shake his hand.
Well, yeah, we go into episode 6, Southern Comfort. Sam and Dean actually team up with Garth, Garth is back. Garth is back. He's taken over Bobby's job. They're hunting down a specter that's possessing innocent people who have a grudge against somebody. And this leads us to the tomb of the unknown soldier that some drunk kids stole a coin from. If you don't know what the tomb of the unknown soldier is, it's in Washington, D.C. It's basically to the fallen soldiers, war heroes. They have somebody out there at all times guarding it. It's very ceremonious for military members, and a really, really interesting thing to see if you can watch Changing the Guard or just the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in general. Check that out in Washington, D.C. But this episode is named after the alcohol, of course, which was one of my favorite growing up, like Southern Comfort and pineapple juice.
High school kids with Southern Comfort. Isn't that what's the name of the cocktail that Southern Comfort's in?
I don't know. I just used to drink Southern Comfort and pineapple juice all the time. That was like my go-to.
No, I'm thinking amaretto sours. That's definitely not.
Oh, yeah. Well, in this episode, actually, Dean tells Garth that he has been in purgatory, which Garth asks, like, purgatory? Dean responds, no, the one in Miami, to which Garth responds, that's balls. The purgatory in Miami is actually a gay strip club, which is, I
did Google this to check the accuracy because I had only seen it in memes. And it instantly takes me to a page where it's like, are you 21? And it's a very risque cartoon. Or no, it said 18, not 21. And then I was like, I'm going to get out of here. It is accurate.
That is, no, dude.
So, yes,
that's amazing. I love that so much because I love the minute details. Again, I'm a very detail-loving person when there's Easter eggs.
Alabama Slammer. Southern Comfort is an Alabama Slammer.
Oh, really? That's what they call it?
Well, it's in an Alabama Slammer. I was just trying to think. I knew there was like a popular.
What's an Alabama Slammer?
I don't know. I have to go back in.
All right. Well, I don't really have too much to say about this episode other than when Garth is in it, you're probably getting a really fun episode. I love him. I loved the actor. It's a shame you don't really see him pop up in movies or TV too much anymore, but Garth-centric episodes are in for a good time. It's such a lighthearted good time.
All right. So an Alabama Slammer is Southern Comfort, amaretto, sloe gin, orange juice, and a garnish with an orange slice for twist and maraschino cherries. There you go.
Okay. I don't know that I've ever had one.
I don't know that I have either, but we definitely drank Southern Comfort in high school.
Yeah.
Right. Episode 7.
Episode 7. A little slice of Kevin. Poor Kevin. Crowley has kidnapped Kevin and the rest of the prophets that are able to read the word of God. Castiel has mysteriously returned from purgatory. He helps Sam and Dean rescue Kevin. Lauren, why don't you go ahead and take us away with the fun facts?
So Sam, while he's in the warehouse, he uses an anti-demon bomb, and the shadows of the 3 demons are left on the wall. It's actually an overhead door. Why did I say that? I don't know. I guess the wall is an overhead door. At Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the light of the atomic blast were so intense that it instantly actually did photo bleach any dark and non-combustible surfaces, whether it was brick, concrete, or stone. So people whose bodies cast shadows on these surfaces actually left permanent unbleached shadows. So it was kind of like resembling that. It's kind of creepy and crazy. And they do that in Iron Man 3 as well. In the beginning of the episode, Sam actually says Shazam when he referencing the missing kids and the tornadoes. Because remember that?
Oh, yeah.
So we got to assume this is a reference to DC's character.
Shazam!
So this is the episode where Cash shows up and then he gets all cleaned up and Dean looks all excited that he's all cleaned up and Sam's like, yeah, okay, great. You got your clothes back. Fantastic. And Dean looks very happy that he's back.
It's the regular clothes that we all know Cass to be wearing, but
yeah, he hasn't been in them in a while. He was in the hospital scrubs in Purgatory.
Oh, that's right. He was. Cass is back, which is going to lead to some pretty interesting things, such as going to episode 8, Hunteri. How do you pronounce this?
I don't know. It's Latin. Heroici. We don't know.
Just know that episode 8 takes us to the Looney Tunes episode, which I loved because Castiel decides to become a hunter, even though he basically already is at this point. He's gone through how many seasons now?
They laugh at him. It's like he's been helping you hunt monsters for
dude. He's literally saved your asses how many times now? Yeah,
and y'all laugh at him about being a hunter. Oh, it's so funny. You're a hunter.
As they go to investigate a case where a guy's heart bursts out of his chest, other cartoonish deaths and events occur, leading to an old friend of John's with psychic abilities. It ends with Fred listening to Ode of Joy and Cass stays behind. Yeah, this is the episode where an old friend of the Winchesters, he's being used by one of the psychiatrists who is using this poor senile man's powers for his own gain. And it's a fun episode, dude. It's a Looney Tunes episode. There's also Dean is talking to him inside his mind at one point, and it's like the Wile E. Coyote and crew, and it's
Sam and Cass are inside. Sam,
yeah, that's right. Sam and Cass are. That's right. My apologies. It's still a good episode. Now, Fritz Freleng is the name of the guy with the awesome wife. This was the name.
Do you remember why it's the awesome wife? Because he knew the wife knew he was cheating. And Cass is like, oh, so she didn't murder her husband? And what? And Dean makes a comment, no, she's just the most awesome wife ever. He goes, well, who did murder her husband? And that's when Dean does the who gives a shit, but it cuts to the car, the who gives a, and then it's like, Beow!
That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense now. I had forgotten that. It's the name of a real person who passed in 1995 who worked on many animation projects, including Bugs Bunny. And as we found out from our friend Ryan Curtis, Bugs Bunny was not allowed to be used in this because Warner Brothers, even though they owned the company and owned Supernatural, would not allow for Bugs to be used, which makes no sense to me. But
interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, the older lady who loves Castiel did the voice work for a Tom and Jerry show. Again, more animated Warner Brothers specials. Fred Jones, who is a psychic, Fred Quimby, and Chuck Jones were both directors of animation for a number of Tom and Jerry cartoons. Fred Jones was also the name of one of the members of the Scooby-Doo gang at a point.
Fred!
Yeah, Looney Tunes used to give their characters their Latin names and freeze frames, hence the title of this, which means heroic hunters. There's also a freeze frame with Dean, and it says something similar.
I love that when he goes to leap and it freezes, and it's like
I do.
Heroices or whatever it is. It's very similar to the title, but a little different.
I loved it. It's a heavy episode, but it's also light at the same time. When they enter, they do a lot of psychic, go into the mind kind of stuff. But it's just like with the Scooby-Doo episode, right? He's like, Ruby, Ruby, Roo. It's just, they're self-aware, dude. Like, it's awesome.
And the gun that goes bang. And then I thought it was Ryan Curtis too. And he says, Bugs Bunny and Castiel's like, I assume we're looking for an insect rabbit hybrid. Oh, and then when Dean goes, it's wabbit season, and Castiel goes, I think you mispronounced that.
Yes, there's so many good little. That's again, man. Yeah. That's why this episode's one of the most beloved. It's for all these reasons right here.
It's underrated too because again, it's not listed in the I think when you're done watching all this, we need to have an our top 10 because I feel like our top 10.
Oh, it's gonna be vastly different. I think
standard.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. We're going to have to. I'm going to have to jog my memory a bunch too, which I'm sure we will do. But yeah, no, I like this episode. I don't have too much else to say. Really, really fun. Episode 9, Citizen Fang. This is the one where it seems like Benny is attacking people. However, he's really just making an honest living working for his granddaughter at a rundown restaurant. And Sam's a dick. Of course, he's a dick because he thinks Benny's doing it. There's no way that this vampire could actually be clean. And Martin, an old crazy hunter, is the asshole who is behind all of the killings, trying to get Benny to show who he really is.
You remember Martin from the pudding episode?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There.
Fucking Martin. We remember Martin. The name of the diner Benny works at is named Guidry. I can't pronounce this.
Good luck to you. Guidry's.
Yeah.
Guidry.
Well, Ron Guidry was pitcher for the New York Yankees, nicknamed the Louisiana Lightning.
Yes, Martin, I believe they are in Louisiana because he's got.
They are. He's from Louisiana. He's from the Bayou, and that's so he went there where his granddaughter is.
He's got that Gambit accent.
Yeah. Martin, aka John Grease, was a werewolf / vampire, or a werepire, as Dean might say, in the movie Fright Night Part 2 in 1988. He's also Uncle Rico in Napoleon Dynamite, and he's also in White Lotus.
I did not realize that he was Uncle Rico, and so when I was doing this, I was like, "What the? How did I not notice that?" And Erica actually saw they did a special preview for Napoleon Dynamite last night, and she went to it, and she's like, "I
saw that." Erica and Ski, they did like a Q&A. Yeah, like John Peter and them were there. Yeah, I saw that. I'm so jealous. So jealous. It was shot in Idaho, actually. I've seen where they filmed it. It's in the middle of nowhere, just like everything else is. But
are there a lot of llamas? I have not.
There was a llama farm 5 minutes from my house, actually.
I don't think I've watched that movie since it came out,
It's been a long time.
It was almost 20 years ago.
Dude, it's been such a long time.
Years ago?
It's been But yeah, no, this is where Martin meets his demise, as he should have. He tried to, he kidnapped Benny's granddaughter. Benny wasn't having that shit. Sam's being an asshole.
Dick move.
And yeah, dude, just don't mess with you never turn your back on family. You also never mess with family, all right? Martin got what's coming to him. He got his throat ripped out. He's dead. That's the big takeaway from this. Now, a couple more episodes before we wrap this up. Episode 10, Torn and Frayed. Dean and Castiel try to rescue Sam Dreel from Crowley, who has tapped into his angel programming. Sam tries to decide whether or not he should continue hunting or be with Amelia. No one cares, Sam. And then we see
Sam.
Well, okay. So we see Cass struggle with Naomi and kill the sweetest little angel employer of the Weenie Hut, Sam Dreel, aka Alfie. Now, yeah, this is Amelia sucks. Amelia's like, I'm going to meet you. And if it's meant to be, you'll be there. And Sam wasn't there. Daddy wasn't there.
She did show up. Part of me, I was like, should I feel bad for her? But she was really obnoxious to him at the beginning. When she's like, why are you in my hotel room? Are you stalking me?
She's like, what are you doing this? I'm married. Oh, but then she was all willing to leave her husband. Yeah, no, we don't mess with you. And so that was.
And she's like, you hit this dog. You have to take responsibility for it.
Yeah, she's what the bitch, dude. You suck.
What should he have done? Just let the dog die? He didn't intentionally hit it.
No, and also good for Sam for basically being he thought with his brain. He's like, for all the problems he has with Dean, that's his brother. At the end, you're always going to ride or die because again, Vin Diesel, you're always going to ride or die with family. And Sam does, man. And she shows up looking like a fool to this hotel at the end is the one big takeaway from this episode. And so you can see where Sam's priorities are, man.
Peace out, Amelia.
Yeah. Fuck Amelia. She sucked. She was the worst part about the season. And I like the season.
The only Amelia I like is Amy Pond. Not
that's
really.
True.
There's other Amelias. I actually really like
Amelia Bedelia. Do you remember Amelia Bedelia?
Amelia Bedelia.
Yeah. I loved Amelia Bedelia too. That was badass, man. I do remember. But man, this season so far, we're gonna stop here. It's been I like this season a lot. Supernatural, I thought a lot of people have their thoughts about certain seasons, but there's not been a bad season in my opinion. And if you want to go look out for some behind the scenes special effects, go ahead and check out our episode with Ryan Curtis, who worked on the series from season 8 through 10, and a lot of cool stuff. Because that's what I'm looking at now. There's the one sequence where there is the vampire head getting chopped off, and I'm like,
yeah,
I know how this works. And, it's cool behind the scenes stuff, man. I love stuff like that. But Lauren, any final thoughts as we go ahead and wrap up?
So this last episode, we saw the boat owned by Garth that Kevin is hiding out on. It's called a Fizzles Folly. Mr. Fizzles is the name of Garth's sock puppet we saw in Party on Garth. And I just wanted to mention this last fun fact because Ryan Curtis actually mentioned that set and how impressed he was that they put this boat together so quick and that it looked so good. So that is my last one. Our next episode, episode 11, is LARP and the Real Girl. That is a Charlie Bradbury episode, a Felicia Day episode. So we are going to kick it off with a bang in the next one because obviously that one's going to have a lot of fun facts and little pop culture nods. And that's what I got.
That's right. Now, as always, guys, please make sure you go ahead, like, subscribe, share to the show. That's how we're going to grow. Leave a 5-star review or maybe leave a 1-star. You know what? Leave whatever review you feel fits this show. We're doing cool things. We are going to be going live here coming up on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern with our friends Christian D. Mateo and the Fugitive Poems crew. So we're going to be doing that, talking some fun pop culture things. We're going to be drinking beer. It's a really cool thing that we're trying to push. But aside from that, man, you get our episodes early. If you subscribe to our Patreon, you get a cool, sweet little box of comics and stickers and koozies and cool stuff. And then be on the lookout as I'm going to be at GalaxyCon Richmond. I'm going to be at AwesomeCon. More to come there. And if the easiest way to find out where we are going to be at is by subscribing and turning those notifications on. Do that. We will see you guys next week. Make sure to go to your local comic book shop, pick up a really good comic book, go to your local brewery, go to your local coffee shop. I don't care what it is. Support the small businesses, support your friends, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, everybody.